Hey guys, it's Abby from Autumn Pelennor, and today I'm showing you my November TBR. I'm going to straight away apologise. There are builders, they are drilling, they are banging. Thank you for the example. And they are here from 8 in the morning till 7 at night, Monday to Saturday. I don't have a lot of time for filming, and I'm also not going to lie, I forgot that this needed to go up tomorrow. Well, today as you're watching it, but I'm filming it the day before. Organised. So let's get into what I'm going to be reading this month. Alex Black, I will link her channel below, is hosting, one of a few people hosting, the Non-Fiction November little challenge, readathon, tag, whatever thing. So I am joining in that. So all of my TBR for this month are non-fiction. That doesn't mean I'm going to read only non-fiction, but that is my TBR. So let's get into it. This is my little selection, and this is my list for the things that I don't have physical copies of. So, book number 1 is Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall. I am borrowing this off of a friend from my course here at my master's, and it is non-fiction. Therefore, if I read this, I can give it back to her. Shocker, I know! So that's really handy. The reason I've been putting it off is because it's quite similar to what we are studying. I am a geology student and my undergrad was geography, so sometimes it's a bit much to be learning all of this and then also have this on top of that. But yes, so this is the first book. Next up is The Secret Barrister. This doesn't have an author for obvious reasons. This looks at UK law, how it is enacted, and why it sometimes fails those it's meant to protect, and why it's biased. And basically it's like an inside look at how it works here in the UK, and why sometimes it's a bit of a shit show. Oh, and I picked this up at the British Heart Foundation for £2. It was in the fiction section, because they obviously didn't realise it was non-fiction, but I'm so happy. I'm very glad I went to go have a look around that on my birthday with my boyfriend. And the last thing I have an actual copy of here in my hands is Nature's Home. It's the RSPB, I keep wanting to say RSPCA, it's the RSPB magazine for winter 2018. I get this because I am a member and I wouldn't read it otherwise. I checked with Alex, I messaged her, and magazines are okay, like non-fiction magazines. So as long as it is non-fiction, you can read that if you want to also join in. Magazines count. And yeah, I just wouldn't actually get around to sitting down and reading this whole thing if it wasn't for Non-Fiction November. So I'm really glad that that's kind of came around at an opportune time and I can actually read this and enjoy it. Now for my lists, which I am addicted to making, which my boyfriend finds hilarious. So I have written down all of the challenges, and then I wrote down all of the non-fiction books that I either had with me or I have as ARCs on NetGalley or Edelweiss or sent to me or whatever, and so I was trying to fit them into the challenges. So for the ones that we already have, if I get this, Prisoners of Geography, why am I holding it there? Swap the hands. Prisoners of Geography goes for 3 of the challenges. One is that it has a map. There are many maps in this, as you can probably guess, because the underbit here says 10 maps that tell you everything you need to know about global politics. So, maps. It's also STEM, science, tech, engineering, maths. This is technically science. It is. And then also different culture or a country that you've not been to. And they study America, and I've been to America, but other than that I've not been to the countries really that this mentions. I've stayed within Europe and North and South America, and not many places within that. Rude. Yes, this was a good one to go for that. Then for The Secret Barrister, I used this for 2 challenges, the memoir/biography challenge, and also no pictures, because this is all pure writing. I have flipped through, I'm just checking again. Yeah, there's a folded page. But there are no images other than the cover art for this book. And in contrast to that, Nature's Home, I have used that for diagrams, charts and graphs, for about nature, for written by journalists, or a journalist, because this is... and then also more pictures and text. There are a lot of adverts in this, but like, that side's adverts, but this is common. They have full-page spreads, so there are more images than text within this. Now onto the ones that I don't actually have in my physical possession. I just have e-arcs or e-copies of. So let's see. Then the first one on the list is The Path to Change, which is by the current Pope, Pope Francis, I believe, and that is for the challenge Give Deep Thoughts. Give deep thoughts, that's what I meant. I'm assuming, I'm personally not religious, but I'm assuming because he is a religious man, this is going to enact a lot of thinking and be very thought-provoking. And although I may not be religious, a lot of religion, when done correctly, is just good morals. And I do happen to have morals, I personally think. So I'm looking forward to reading that, and hopefully it will be what I'm looking for. Then there is Butterfly. I cannot remember the girl's name who wrote this. It is also a biography memoir. Rude. It's also a biography memoir, and it's about a girl who was escaping the war in Syria, was in a boat and it started to sink, and her along with her sister pulled the boat to shore to save everyone on it, and she then joined the Olympics and competed in the Olympics in swimming. So this book then counts for the war and conflict that isn't World War II challenge, because it's got the Syria war within it, and this should hopefully be such an interesting read. Then we have Love and Kisses from My Padded Cell, and this is going to be for the challenge which is to do with the mind. Read something to do with the mind. And this is kind of about institutionalisation and people's points of view, and hopefully it should be really interesting. They've interviewed people, the author, collator, interviewed people who have been within systems for mental health care. Yeah, so this should be really intriguing. Why? Then I have Life Honestly, which is by The Pool, which is a website. So this is the essay collections one. And so they've collated a load of articles and put them in a book with some new ones and some ones on the website. I'm counting this as a collection of essays. And then for my most awkward one, for one that like definitely fits into one of the challenges, is The Woman Who Fought an Empire. Now this is a book that is based in World War I. It's all about this woman who did loads of work for World War I and in helping people escape things, and you get the picture. But World War I ended on the 11th of November 1918. So I cannot read this until the 12th of November 2018 because I'm reading it for the something that happened at least 100 years ago challenge. And this doesn't really focus on the end of the war from what I can tell, but I just want to make sure. So once it hits 11/11 technically, but once it hits the 12th of November, I can then read this book and have it count for that challenge. So technically cheating, but also I'm not, I'm waiting. And then I do have some other books on my TBR that don't really fit in with the challenges. They might do once I've read them, I don't know yet. So we have A Forest in the Clouds, which could also work for the About Nature challenge, and it's about, well, you can see from the cover. So it's all naturey and it's someone's memoir from that time as well. So it also could fit for the memoir. Just, I already have books for both of the categories it fits in. Then Elon Musk, a biography on him, which was released in 2016. And that could fit into the STEM side of it, because Elon Musk does a lot of technology developments. Could he make a silent drill? 5 Days That Shocked the World is a World War II based one, so I can't do it for the war challenge because it's literally anything but this, but it looks super interesting and it should be really intense and just really, really good, so I'm looking forward to that one as well. Then another World War II one, Weird War II. Stuff that's just odd that happened in World War II, so weird ways that they tried to combat things. It's all about weird stuff that people did, weird shit that people tried to do to win the war. So like they tried to train cats, or was it dogs? No, the Americans tried to train cats. The Russians tried to train dogs to blow up under tanks, but they used their own tanks in the training and they looked different from the other guys, so they just blew up their own tanks with the dogs, with the bombs, and they blew up the dogs. So I don't know if that's included, but that's one weird fact I know. I also know that a pigeon got a medal. So some weird things, so I'm presuming it'll be stuff like that. Maybe a little more somber, I don't know, we'll have to see. And the final one I have is another World War II one, and it's called Glory in Their Spirit, and it's about 4, I believe, black women from America who basically said, fuck this shit, in terms of the racism that was in America at the time. We want to serve our country, we want to help in this war, it's a global war, it affects everyone, we want to help. And they went out and they ended up being court-martialed, I think the synopsis said. I'm looking forward to reading from a very different perspective. I've read a few books based on the American side of World War II, not as many, but so I don't read about America a lot. I also don't read about black people during World War II and their story, because obviously at the time, I mean, racial relations still aren't great, but at the time they were so much worse. And the fact that these people then still fought for their countries and then were treated like shit when they came home. I would like to learn more about it and educate myself more in that subject, and yeah, just really add to my knowledge on that area, and I feel like their stories need to be told. So I'm looking forward to this one, and I'm really hoping it's good. And that's all of them. That's every single book that I'm putting on my November TBR. Now, I'm probably going to end up not reading all of these. I'm probably going to end up reading some fiction, because that is my predominant genre. I do love me some non-fiction, but fiction's a good 70%, non-fiction's like 30. So yes, this won't be like what will happen in my wrap-up. I will not read all of them, and I will not only have read these. So definitely subscribe and stick around to see what I do end up reading. At the end of the month, if I do end up reading a lot of different stuff and not finishing things, then I will be doing 2 separate wrap-ups. So basically, if I read anything fiction, I'm doing 2 separate wrap-ups. One for non-fiction November and one for my November reads. So definitely stick around to see kind of how I feel about the books and what I felt was done well and what wasn't, and all of that stuff. If you enjoyed the video, please do click like, and please comment down below if you're going to be doing non-fiction November, or if you want to read any of these books or have read any of them and have knowledge to impart. I'm really interested, because I don't think non-fiction is discussed nearly enough on BookTube, which is why this readathon is such a good idea. And I'm also linking Alex's channel down below, and go and click on her channel and find out more about non-fiction November, because you should read more non-fiction. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye! The builders! Also, I'm far too close. New makeup, never done this before. Don't be me.